back, children. Today we will do next chapter in Honeycomb, and the name of the chapter is Expert Detectives, which has been written by Sharda Dwivedi. Now, this very word detectives, it actually about the person who are involved in investigations, and they are trying to find out the real cause behind any crime which has taken place. So, here I am going to read the summary. I will tell you the summary of this story, and your job is to go through line by line, okay, so that you can understand it more nicely. So, just listen to the summary of this story carefully. So here, Nishad and his 10-year-old sister Maya has always been inquisitive about their neighbor Mr. Nath. So they were very much eager to know about Mr. Nath, who was their neighbor. And here Nishad, okay, can be also called as 7, since he was 7 years old, so he was like to be called 7, and he had one sister who was 10 years old, Maya. One day their marbles went inside his house, and Nishad got a chance to catch a glimpse of Mr. Nath. So they were playing with the marbles, and one of the marble, because since it is made of glass and they are very means likely to slip very easily, so it slipped inside Mr. Nath's house, and Nishad, he got a chance to just see who Mr. Nath was. To Nishad, he appeared to be a crook, means a criminal running away from the cops, that is police. He had a bad scar, means mark, on his face, and didn't have any friends. But Mr. Nath is a patient to their mother, who is a doctor by profession. Now, both these children's mother was a doctor by profession, and Mr. Nath was under treatment. Okay, he was a patient to their mother, who is a doctor by profession. Their mother has told them that he is a very polite man. Now, when he came for the treatment, she might have interacted with that Mr. Nath, and she had the opinion that he was a very polite person. Nishad also called 7 because his name meant the 7th note on the musical scale. Now, the two children, they were very busy discussing their mysterious neighbor. So now they considered Mr. Nath as a very mysterious person, since they never found any person entering into his house. Neither he was coming out, and he had scars on his face. So all this made them feel doubt about him. They argued about his financial wealth. So about his financial condition, how he manages his food and so on. Nishad thinks that he is poor and doesn't have much money, while Maya believes that he has got a lot of it, means he has got lot of money, and has kept it hidden somewhere in his room. Then it was Mr. Nath's scar that bothered the children. They thought that he might have got during a shootout with the police. So they thought that those scars were the result when he had to confront the police, and when the police had tried to shoot him, that time the scars had developed. On their mother's birthday, Nishad went along her to the clinic. He happened to see Mr. Nath there. He was very worried seeing Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance, means sickly appearance, means he was not looking at all healthy. That evening, Nishad went to his place and gave a bar of chocolate to Mr. Nath. Nishad befriended Ramesh, the boy who used to bring food for Mr. Nath from a nearby restaurant. So, Ramesh informed his that Mr. Nath had 2 meals a day and tea in morning and evening. His meals was the same every day, and always he used to pay in cash and tips as well. He brings 2 lunches in Sunday and it is on Sunday, and it is the same visitor he finds there. So only that Mr. Ramesh, he is maybe a waiter who brings food for Mr. Nath from down the restaurant, and his meal was same every day. That was 2 meals a day and tea in the morning and evening. And on Sundays he used to bring 2 meals. Otherwise, other days he used to bring only 1 meal. He brings 2 lunches on Sunday, and it is the same visitor he finds there. The visitor was a very tall, stout, and spectacle man. He was wearing specs, who talks a lot, while Mr. Nath is a very quiet person. The children were thrilled and excited, and they were discussing the possibilities of Mr. Nath being a crook. So these were the possibilities which made Maya more confirmed that he was a crook. Rather, Nishad, when he looked at his appearance, who was very thin and slim, so he thought that he might have some financial problem, so he was not able to have proper food. Now, their school opened after the summer holidays the next day, but they could not attend it because of very heavy rain. Nishad was busy reading his comics when Maya informed what she had done. She had made a note of everything they knew about Mr. Nath, calling them facts, and gave a number to each one of them. Now, why she was making a note of everything what she knew about Mr. Nath? Because she thought that she was um, doing like other detectives do. So she was following the detective. She was trying to do like her, because she herself thought to be a detective. And she was noting down everything which would have confirmed her that now he was a crook. And gave a number to each one of them. Nishad disagreed with Maya for calling Mr. Nath a criminal. He felt bad for him for having no friends, while Maya thought that the visitor who comes to his place on Sunday may be his partner. He was a crime partner who knows all his secrets and maybe the loot as well. So since he was his crime partner, so he was knowing everything what Mr. Nath has hidden in his room. So he was knowing each and everything. Both the children had an argument, and Nishad was very upset with Maya for calling Mr. Nath a crook. Nishad was interested only in finding out why Mr. Nath was so thin and loner. He wanted to be his friend, and Maya's theories didn't have any impact on Seven. So there are certain things like when you will read, you will come to understand that how his Mr. Nath's actions sometimes made them very worried. Like so here you can see towards the end, like the monsoons broke the next day, dark clouds accompanied by blinding flashes of lightning and roaring rolls of thunder burst with all their fury, flooding the streets. So there was a very heavy rainfall. Because of that, even after the school opened, they were unable to go to school. And now here these are the interesting lines, like do you think that his real name Maya? Nishad asks. Probably not, I said. Now, because Maya never had a single belief on that person, so she said, no, I don't think he's his real name. Most crooks have an alias. Alias means they have keeping false name. So I added a big question. Now, fact number 2, she wrote that the tenants of Shankar House says he is mad, strange, and unfriendly. So this very opinion is about the renters or tenants who are living in that apartment. Number 3, she wrote that he doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. So this also confirms that he is a crook. But he did talk to us, Maya, and Mama says he is very polite. Nishad interrupted. He only talked to us because he had to, I said, and since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to be polite. So see how the discussions are going on between the two. He says that Nishad says that he is very polite, but Maya says no, he is polite because he knows that he had to be polite since he is going under treatment. He is under Mama's medical treatment. Now she writes fact number 4 that he doesn't receive any letters, so that also means puts a doubt on him, because if he is such a social and friendly person, then why nobody is interacting with him? What is the reason? He doesn't work and sits in his room all day. Number 7, the kids in Shankar house and even some of his grown-ups are scared of him. So he has no visitors except for a spectacle, fair, fat man who visits on Sundays for lunch. Number 9, food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh from the restaurant downstairs. He doesn't care what he eats, pays his bill immediately and tips. So he tries to make that person go away from his doorstep so that he should not come to know what he is doing inside, so that all facts reveal that he is a crook. So Nishad had obviously not been paying too much attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, poor man, Maya, he must be so lonely. So these all sympathetic words are of Nishad for Mr. Nath. So now they are also predicting that Ramesh, who brings meal for him, he probably knows something about his past. Okay, and he might have bribed him, means he is giving his money to keep him quiet. So all these things. Now he says that I will cooperate only if you give up this idea about him being an escape crook. Said 7, you are really making me angry. So he was not in an opinion, in a way to listen anything against him. I almost hit him. I make you angry, you stupid oaf, I shouted. You make me mad. What is the point of all these enquiries if he's not a crook? So he is very much very much annoyed that why she is making such an investigation when he is not a crook. If you think he is nobody, what's the idea of bothering about him? Please tell me. Nishad looked thoughtful. I would like to find out why he is so thin and why he is so lonely. I want to know why he doesn't have any friends and lives alone. Try to understand 7. So she is continuously trying to make him understand that please try to understand that he's a crook. So all these characteristics, all these points which I have written on a note means reveal that he's a crook. So he's not in a way to accept anything. I told him if he is lived in Shankar house for a year and hasn't made a single friend, so all this creates a doubtful case. He is obviously scared that someone will recognize him and give him up to the cops, that is policeman. So why should anybody bother? You have seen what a nasty bear he is, I said. I don't care, said Nishad stubbornly. I like him and I'm going to try to be. So he is in opinion to make him friends with a crook. Ha, you are crazy. 7, I said. The cops will take you to jail with him. Do you want that to happen, you idiot? Nishad merely glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. My theory seemed to have made no impression on him at all. So she was really trying to convince her brother about that he was a crook, but he is not in a way to accept what fact she has revealed, and he just walked out of the room. So this all is the job of detective. Maya is playing here. Okay, so children, you read this story nicely line by line, and because in examination maybe the questions may be asked from the middle inside the chapter, so do a thorough reading, and I'll be sending the question answers along with this. You will write down in your copy. So till then, thank you for listening.